What if I told you there's a woman in Birmingham, Alabama, who can sell absolutely anything, and I mean anything? She once sold the world's last remaining train prototype from the 1950s World Fair, worth $250,000. But here's the thing that'll blow your mind. Out of 250 of these trains that were made, 249 of them were deliberately sunk in the ocean as part of a coral reef project. She sold the only one left in existence. Welcome to the Entrepreneurial Edge. I'm your host, Dawn Gagye. Today, I'm sitting down with Rashel Post, the founder of Peddling Post, and honestly, this woman deserves to wear a superhero cape. Rashel went from 2 decades in corporate accounting to becoming what she calls a resale strategist, and her journey is anything but typical. She'll tell you why your $10,000 dining room set is basically worthless to Gen Z, how she pivoted after losing $10,000 on a failed software venture, and why she's booked solid 47 weeks out of the year helping people turn their unwanted items into cold, hard cash. But this isn't just about selling stuff. This is about a woman who's built a business around one simple philosophy: always leave people better than when you found them. Whether you're curious about estate sales, need inspiration for your own business pivot, or just love hearing about someone who's turned helping others into a thriving enterprise, this conversation is packed with insights you won't want to miss. So grab your coffee, start off on that run, or settle in and get ready to meet Birmingham's estate sales superhero. This is Rashel Post, and her story starts now. So, guys, I'm here today with Rashel of Peddling Post. And I said this the other day when I introduced you at BNI, our networking group, but this woman deserves to wear a superhero cape. She's fabulous. So we're going to talk to her about all things and how to sell the things that no one wants to sell, but this lovely lady can sell anything.
Yes.
Which is great.
Yes.
So I'm Dawn Gagye with the Entrepreneurial Edge podcast, and this is our new series where we do on-location episodes to talk to our favorite owners of local businesses here in the Birmingham area. So without further ado, Rashel, tell us about you and Peddling Post.
Okay, so originally my background was corporate accounting. I did 2 decades of that. And when my youngest son was born, I noticed that he was not developing like his brothers. And so my maternity leave turned in to be longer and longer and longer. And so during that time, one of the things that was cathartic for me was putting together a business plan for something that I wanted to do outside of that corporate environment. And because that maternity leave turned into 5 years, I had time to put it together. I spent about a year just working on the branding and the licensing and all that stuff. And then I launched it in December of 19. And originally my idea was to come up with strategies for selling things.
Okay.
I've noticed online that the secondhand market is a huge market. It is a win-win for everybody. And so I really wanted to lean into that. The way my mind works is very analytical. And so logistics are my thing. So I decided to use all of that to just put together this plan. Of course, it's evolved a lot since I've started off, but for the better. It's just gotten better and better as I'm going into, I guess, my 7th year.
Congratulations. That's
Thank you.
huge. And
Thank
it
you.
seems like in the last 6 months, I would say, you really did make a pivot. Do you want to share a little bit more about that with us?
I just noticed that in the beginning, my plan was to sell online, and there's nothing wrong with that, and there's definitely a market for it. But the issue that I kept running into is the algorithms are constantly changing, which makes it very hard to stay current. And so different sites, originally, this is funny, I wish I could have this money back. I put about $10,000 into trying to develop, which I'm not a developer, but I met some developers and we were working through it. I was going to develop software where you could cross post. And because at the time it didn't exist. Well, now it exists.
That's right.
I knew that somebody would come along with it, but why I thought that I could be the person that came along with it. Anyway, about 6 months into it and a bunch of money, the processing time for doing a listing, it needed to be under 60 seconds, 90 seconds at the most. And we could not get it like under 8 minutes. And so I just archived everything and said, we're going to go with what already exists.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started learning about all the different resale platforms, you know, the tricks and what you do. But that's the thing, is that the resale platforms, when they're advertising to people, they make it sound like anybody can just throw something up there and you can sell it.
They do.
And then you get in there and you're like, wait, this is a lot of work. And every single site has different rules and they're constantly changing. So after about 6 years, in the beginning, I could pay my payroll off of what I was doing online. And then it just was changing and changing and changing. And if I've learned anything in my life, you know, you work your hardest, and if it's not working, just pivot. So over the years, I've started doing a lot more estate sales, and I really do love the in-person process. And so my phone has rang a bunch, and I've been staying really busy with that. And so recently I labeled myself a resale strategist, which I think really hits the nail on the head. And it took me almost 7 years to come up with those words. But I don't look at one person and think, oh, this is how you sell it. I look at what it is, what the market is for that thing right now. Is there 1,000 things? Is there 200 things? Are there 10 things? And then I kind of work my strategy around that. And then I advise people, you know, that's not worth selling. You need to donate that. Or that is worth selling, but we're looking for a needle in a haystack. So you need to be really patient with finding the buyer for that thing.
So your focus seems to be on the estate sales and the in-person. Do you do any of the online stuff at all anymore?
Yes.
So tell us what specifically you do with the online stuff, and then we'll talk through a little bit about the journey of a client through the process of doing an estate sale, because I feel like that's your sweet spot.
I do. I think so too. I really love people. I love connecting with people, and I love helping people. It's just how I'm wired. Now, I would like to help people that want me to help them and that will let me do my job. And sometimes people want to micromanage, and I'm definitely not a fan of that. But the ideal person says, I trust you, you're a pro, do it. And then they just let me do it. But as far as online, it takes a long time to spread that web out and make the algorithm fond of you. And it's hard to explain that to people, but when you're on different sites, the more you do and the more active you are, the more you rise up to the top in the algorithm. And so I'm on probably close to 200 marketplace sites.
That's a lot.
Regionally, I've spent a lot of time working on it. And I'm very honest when I answer questions. If they say, are you willing to meet in such and such? And I say, I'm not. Because I want to be honest, so that if they deny my access, that's fine, because it's not personal. But regionally, you know, if you drew 4 hours around Birmingham, I have a very strong network.
Okay.
And then it's really rare to need to go nationally, super rare. But I do have some tricks for that when it's needed. But majority of people don't need that. It's just national. And then because it's my responsibility to know where to sell things, I've built relationships with other companies that if I can't help the person, I know who can. So I can pass them on to somebody who I trust that's going to help them sell their valuables.
So I've learned so much about estate selling, not being originally from here. I'm from Boston. We moved here about 1.5 years ago at the filming of this particular episode. And the Birmingham Southern estate selling thing is a thing.
It's a whole thing, yes.
It truly is extraordinary, and you get addicted to it.
It's very addictive. It's very addictive.
So how do people come to you, and what is their journey with you specifically like? Because I know there's lots of people who run estate sales, but you have a very specific system and process that I want you to make sure you highlight for us today, because it's what differentiates yourself from
100%.
Everybody else.
When I was evolving the business, I noticed that a lot of the people that were doing estate sales, they'd been doing it for decades, and they had a very specific way that they did it. And so I wanted to change that up a little bit. And honestly, it's not rocket science. It's just making sure that both the client understands expectations and knows what the process is, and that the buyers are happy. And so there's a marriage there, but heavily towards that the client is comfortable because they're who I answer to more so than the buyers. You do have to keep your buyers happy though.
Yeah.
But how we do it is the very first step is when somebody says, hey, and it doesn't have to be that somebody has passed away. It can be that somebody's downsizing. Mm-hmm. A lot of older people go from a large home to a small home. So that's a great opportunity for me. It can be somebody transitioning to independent or assisted living. Mm-hmm. It can be just somebody who's not older, who's just moving. Mm-hmm. I've done that so many times. They're moving to another country or they're moving across the country and they don't want to take a fraction of the stuff that they have.
Yeah. Yeah.
One of my coolest stories was a family that had me sell all of their possessions and they moved to Africa to be missionaries. Wow. So it was definitely an adventure. And I feel so honored to get to be a part of different people's stories. I feel like I can take care of people. And so if they come to me, especially if it's an estate situation where somebody's passed away, after a person passes away, if you're the executor, the list of things that you have to do, it's a full-time job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I come along and I can take this off your plate, this off your plate, this off your plate, and leave you with a clean house, and they're like, where do I sign up? Yeah. So I take a lot of pride in that because I know that I'm removing some stress from somebody. And it doesn't stress me out because I can hold space for the fact that somebody has passed away or there's a transitioning happening. But look at it objectively and logistically. And then, whereas somebody, if it's their stuff or it's their parents' stuff, everything has a memory attached to it, which makes it a lot harder.
How do you navigate that? That has to be a big, tricky wicket in your line of work. How to have those conversations, or do you have like a way that you engage in those conversations?
I do. I just try to tell them that it's best that they not be there because in the early days, I would tell people it was up to them. And we had some fallouts and some crash outs of people that didn't realize how emotional they were going to get. And then they fell out. And that's just awkward for everybody.
Yeah.
So it's not that I'm trying to keep them away. It's just while we're prepping or while the estate sale is going on, I just tell them, as your friend, you don't want to be here.
Yeah.
It's super emotional. It's not for me, but it is for them. And ultimately, I can't make them stay away.
How do you reconcile on the other side of the estate sale? What is the experience for the person you're helping, for the people who's selling all of the things? You get a commission, right?
I do. So it's a 60-40 split, pretty standard. You might find some people that are 30 or 35, but 60-40 for us. And then we handle everything. And the client gets a check afterwards. So the only thing that the client pays for is they pay for a dumpster, which I handle getting, and I just pay for it out of the proceeds.
Okay.
They pay for the clean out, which I have contracted with a company that does it for a flat $500 fee. It's about a fourth of what you would pay in some situations, maybe like an eighth of what you would pay depending on the size of the house.
Wow.
Clean outs are very, very expensive.
Yeah.
And so I feel like that's a negotiated rate that really helps my clients. So that's $900 that comes out of their proceeds. And they don't pay anything because it just comes out of what I would be. Yeah. And then I have an option where I can leave them with a house that I would call like a move out clean, like a really deep clean. Baseboards, blinds, appliances, that sort of thing. But I get it quoted and then they get to decide whether or not they want to use that asset. I think it helps the agents too. If it's a house that somebody's going to be moving into, or if it's a house that's as is, and they're going to be renovating it or gutting it, then I would not spend the money on it. But I let them make that decision. And I try to be totally transparent. Nobody likes unpleasant surprises. And so I try to over communicate what the costs are, which are very minimal. And then I cover everything else.
It sounds like you've really streamlined the process, make it super user friendly.
For sure.
Again, you're really, truly taking this humongous, stressful part of the experience, regardless of the context in which it's occurring, off of their plate, which
100%
is kind of priceless. I would say it's priceless.
Yes.
So that's phenomenal. So my burning question, I'm sure our audience has the same burning question. What is the coolest thing you've ever sold in your business? Because there's so many choices.
There was a situation where a gentleman had been holding on to a replica of a train that he had for 60 years.
Like a toy train set?
Well, it was a prototype for the World Trade Fair back in the 50s. It was the prototype that was built so that they could take it around and show people what the World Trade Fair train would look like. He comes to me and he says he's had it for all these years and he's ready to sell it. And I'm like, oh, that's a lot of pressure. So we strategically came up with a plan and we worked on it for about 6 months. And that was definitely the coolest thing. There was 250 made of these.
Wow.
249 of them were sunk in the ocean as part of a coral reef project. And this was the only one that existed.
Oh my God.
So that was a really cool, probably once in a lifetime kind of thing. A lot of people don't realize though that Pyrex is having a big moment. And some of the older patterns can sell for hundreds and hundreds of dollars for one bowl.
So what would that pattern look like? Can you describe it?
It would have to be pre-1960s.
Okay.
And what's interesting about that, for them to be in pristine condition, think about it. Like if they're used in a home, they're not going to be in pristine condition. But if they're not used, I guess some people just used them to look at them, but that wasn't their mentality then. They were using them to bake and cook and do all those things. So if you find some that are in really good condition, they're worth a lot of money. It's one of the first things I look for when I go in a house.
Okay. So what are some of those other things that are your top of the list that you're looking for when you go into a house?
Mainly just things that are going to make money, that bring people out. So it's funny that men think that women shop, because at estate sales, there's a lot of things that bring the men out, like anything to do with outdoor tools, anything regarding hunting, guns. Then you get into coins, things that they collect, collectibles, yes. At the time that we're having this conversation, silver is at the highest it's ever been, which is $40 an ounce.
Wow.
So one of the things I'm doing is telling my clients, if they have sterling silver, even if it's scrap, now's the time to cash in on it, because it's at an all-time high. And I get to help them with that process. I think it's fun, but I am always scavenging for anything that is silver, not silver plated. The market is so saturated with silver plated. You can barely sell it, but if it's sterling silver, it's a big seller. And of course, anything that's gold. One of the first things we do is go through and look for valuables, things that are going to bring in money. And then of course we love to sell cars. A lot of people will have a car in their estate. And so week before last, the high resale value of the car that we had was just under 11,000, and we sold it for 15,500.
Because it was in demand?
Because it didn't have a lot of mileage on it, and it had only had one owner and no accidents, and those are really hard to find. A lot of people don't know to look at estate sales for that type of thing.
Well, it sounds like you're really part of this transformational process, whether it's under positive or sad circumstances, and you being that objective person that kind of comes in with that logistics mindset and an understanding of what's of value in the current present time and space is of so much help to these people. And the fact that you just love people, I think that that's clear, but makes a huge difference. When it comes to looking at your brand, and we've done a little bit of work together as well, we're actually going to do her personal branding session when we wrap today. You have some really strong core values that are so central to who you are as a human being. A lot of companies, I think, even small companies, don't necessarily connect those together. Would you want to share what you feel your core values are?
I am a person that it doesn't matter if I'm at work or at home or just out in the wild. Number one, what you see is what you get. There's no pretense with me. Number two, I always want to leave people better than I found them. If I am reflecting, which I do every day at the end of the day, if I reflect on anything where maybe I didn't want my energy to attach to somebody, but I was in a mood, and so I will go back and try to make sure that I have made that right. Not that it even necessarily was off, but it's important to me that I leave people better and always do the right thing.
Yeah, give me an example of that, because I feel like that seems obvious when you're dealing with all these personal things, like these valuables and people's stuff, but give me an example of that. Because you have a couple I've heard lately.
I do. Every week it seems like there's one.
You do have one a week at least.
So when you have a team of people in people's houses, undoubtedly something minor could go wrong. And even if we're not responsible, somehow it gets associated with
responsible.
Right. So this week's example for today, because I could give you a different one next week, there was a very steep embankment at a house that I was working at. And the new homeowner, after the sale was over, found some trash in the embankment. And so it was somehow linked to us. And so I thought the right thing to do was to go clean the embankment. But what I didn't realize is the embankment was more like a cliff. Okay. It wasn't actually an embankment where you could like scoot into it. And so thankfully I had a friend there that was overseeing in case we needed to call the authorities. And he's like, I'm not letting you go down that. So I got what I could get. And there's no way that my people or anybody associated with me was responsible for the trash that was there because it was very aged. But at the end of the day, I need to be able to lay my head down at night and know that I left people better than I found them. And so I may have been a little disgruntled as I was cleaning the trash, but I still would have done the same thing, maybe kicking and screaming to myself. But it's really important to me. So I just want to leave people with a good feeling.
Yeah. And you have that positive reputation around your business. So it's always paying it forward, even though it's behind you.
Yes.
I was wondering if you could share the ideal client. So they're in a point of transition, but tell me more specifically, what are they saying before they find you? And then when they come to you and they're just like, that sounds amazing. How do I pay you? Like, let's do it. Tell me a little more specific. I know you have these different silos. So somebody's parent has passed.
Correct.
So it's an executor of their will, but then it's somebody who's just downsizing in general and they're moving across the country. Is there common threads between those, even though they're all desiring the same thing?
That's right.
They need to get rid of the stuff.
Right. So if you look at the Great Depression generation, which, you know, they're passing away, they came from a mindset of you hold on to everything.
Yeah.
Because you don't know when you're going to lose it all or when you're not going to have something. And I feel like a lot of people approach that with judgment, but don't really take into account the trauma
of that belief
that they went through. Right. And so then you look at baby boomers. So Great Depression, silent generation. And then you look at baby boomers and that's all they know because that's how their parents raised them. So it's just collect. Well, there's been a huge shift after baby boomers is, I think, Gen X. I'm Gen X, 49.
You and I are the same age.
So, you know, we kind of looked at that and said, I don't think I need that much stuff.
Yeah.
Well, hold your horses because the ones in their 20s,
Gen Z.
Yeah. They don't want any of it.
They're like, we don't want any of the things. We want to travel light.
They don't care that you paid $10,000 for your dining table.
No,
they're like, that's
we don't
your
need a
problem.
dining room table.
Exactly.
Why would we need a dining room table?
And then the grandparents or the parents or whatever will be like, but it's so well made. And that is true, but it also seats 12. And people, you know, it's hard to find places that are big and like that takes up real estate. Kids are like, I'd rather get something off Wayfair for $150 and put it together in 1,000 steps. And then dispose
with
of
a little
it.
Allen wrench. I have to turn 5,000 times.
For sure. And then dispose of it when they're done with it because it no longer fits their vibe.
Right.
And anybody that does not think that that's the truth, they're lying to themselves. And I've seen so many people be sad. They're like, I've offered all of these things to my family and nobody wants them. And I'm like,
it's going to be okay.
Yes,
but no one really
I
does
will
want
help
it.
you rehome as much of it as I can. And that's when I try to help them understand that we don't put anything in the trash. If we do a sale, I think typically about 80% of the house is going to be cleared out after an estate sale, which is pretty good.
That's amazing.
Yes. Big furniture, heavy furniture, we call them boat anchors. It's very hard to sell. You have to price it to sell. You have to basically give it away. Everybody in the 90s and the 2000s had those TV cabinets that you put your TV in. Boat anchors, not worth anything. You can't even give it away. But afterwards, there's some things, if we know there is zero market for it and we can't even donate it, we will throw it away, like in the dumpster. But very thoughtful about what gets in the dumpster because we want to make sure that whatever's left gets in the hands of people that can use it. And that's one of the most important things for me. If I looked in a dumpster and I saw like perfectly good stuff, I would have a legitimate crash out.
Yeah.
Super important to me. A little bit of an obsession for me to not throw things away.
So were you with the Great Depression generation mindset, that old
No,
school?
I just didn't grow up with. And the idea, it's not, I don't take it home with me. Most people are shocked. I never get anything.
Wow.
I mean, like, I love office supplies. It's a pretty,
Well, and you use them.
It's a pretty easy niche, you know?
Yeah.
I can't walk down Target, forget about it. I can't go to Hobby Lobby. No, I can't. I'll be like, I don't have that stapler. I need that stapler.
Even though I have like 5 other staplers. It's
and
fine.
then I'll get like 4 or 5 of them. And then I used to mentor a bunch of girls from church, and I would let them come over and I'd be like, who needs a stapler?
Supplies, yeah.
Because my addiction is showing. But I don't personally take stuff from the houses, but I just make sure that they get rehomed, which for a lot of people makes them feel better that we're not throwing stuff away.
So to that point, who are your best partners in this endeavor and the work that you do? Because it sounds like there might be some that
for sure.
To mention.
So people our age who have aging parents, great. Because usually we can go toe to toe and communicate and they totally get it. And then they can sort of manage the expectations. But I do work with a lot of older people and, you know, I sit down with them. My contract looks like a coloring book because it's huge and I want people to make notes on it. And I think older people love to have something they can write on, and they typically write down a lot of things because they don't want to forget it. So anybody that's, you know, looking to make that transition, real estate agents are a great referral source for me.
I was just going to say they have to be fantastic.
They love
for
me.
you.
Yes,
I'm sure they do.
They do. Estate planning lawyers, I do a lot of referrals for them. And movers, because they're inside of people's houses and they hear people say, what am I going to do with all this stuff? I don't know what I'm going to do with all this stuff. And storage facilities.
Okay. Tell me what you do when it comes to the donations. Like, who are your best partners there? Is it like a Goodwill or is it something else? Is there a network of people or groups?
What a lot of people don't realize is after COVID, or during COVID really, a lot of the nonprofits that will pick up donations were so taxed because people were home and they had nothing to do. So they were just cleaning stuff out. And a lot of nonprofits do not have the resources or the sustainability to stand up under that kind of weight. And I think people mean well, but they don't know the difference between trash and donate. And it's hard to teach that. I will tell you, there's some ones in Birmingham that are amazing, which Sozo Trading is awesome. And I use them a lot.
Okay.
I will tell you, the one that has the biggest initiative that nothing go in the landfill is America's Thrift Stores. A lot of people do not realize that they will not say no to picking stuff up because they have a huge initiative to make sure that things don't go in the landfill that don't belong in the landfill. So they're usually my go-to because it's just an easy link online where you schedule it and upload pictures. And then there's a day where they come and pick everything up. The important thing is that people need to understand they don't come in your home. So everything has to be out or at least in the garage and all together. And, you know, I usually just put ATS on it, but so many people don't realize that's an amazing resource that we have. And then it'll get to the donation center. Yeah. For things like that you can't move.
Yeah. Like those TV cabinets.
Yes. 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 I don't know what they do, but I met with one of the CEOs and they have just an amazing commitment to make sure that things don't go into the landfill.
Love that. I just watched something on, like, I love when I'm out on estate sales, like I like to find the little things for props for photography or floral arrangements, but my jam is really fashion. Hence the belt I'm wearing today. And my outfit. This is a Banana Republic jumpsuit that I got for $10 at an estate sale.
Definitely, fashion is your jam.
They're like gold mines for that. However, and one of the reasons that I'm so inspired to do something sustainable in that vein is I'm learning so much about what happens to all the fast fashion that goes out into the world. It ends up burning and floating around in the ocean. And there's so many companies now that fortunately have understood the impact and trying to find a way to take things like jeans, for example, and repurpose that, or shredding clothing into ropes and things any way possible, because there's like billions of pounds of clothing that just sit in the oceans or literally ignite. Polyester apparently is extremely flammable. So it's one small way that we can serve to enjoy what you're doing,
Right.
but also pay it forward, and knowing sustainable fashion is so important right now.
It really is. It's really important.
Just side note from Dawn, the fashion girl.
That's right. It's true.
And you find such gems. Like, I came out in this belt today and everybody's like, I love the belt. I love the belt.
Listen, it's such a rush when you find something out in the wild that you're like, I've been looking for this, or this is my thing.
Yeah.
And you're high. You're absolutely high.
My husband has witnessed this many a time. Like,
absolutely.
Oh my God. And I lose my breath and I just feel it. I'm harnessing my spirit animal, Carrie Bradshaw.
Yes.
I just know it when I see it, that it's special, or this is going to sound super woo-woo, and I'm not. I'm very much like an analytical to a certain degree, but you can feel that there's energy that this piece has. Like,
totally.
It has some kind of story. I may never know what the story is, but
it speaks to you. Well, I'm a big person on when you move into a space, don't feel it.
Yes.
Take time, go around and wait for something to speak to you, and then figure out where you're going to place it. Because I feel like we're in such a hurry to like nest.
Yeah.
But, if we take time and then just wait, then you get that rush of like, I know exactly where I'm going to put this.
Right.
And it fits perfect. And you get a good deal on it.
So, other thing, insider's tip for anybody who wants to start exploring estate sales, usually, not always, but the last day
is 50% off.
Yeah. Or more sometimes.
It is. And there's only sometimes that we have to make exceptions on some things, like a vehicle or something, that the client might be sensitive
like
about.
A hard firm.
Yes. They're like, if it doesn't sell for this, then we're not selling it. I mean, I respect that. But majority, 99.9% of the estate is going to be 50% or more.
Yeah. And I have to ask, this is insider question, a curiosity of mine. Is it okay to barter?
Yes. The first day, if you get there right when they're opening, I do it because it's sort of like first come, first serve. You're getting the good stuff. But a lot of people are repeat people. I mean, you see the same people, which is lovely because it builds a community. But, when you get to know people, they know. They're not going to be like, hey, you said 100, can I give you 90? That's an easy yes.
Yeah.
And so my goal is to clear everything out. And I'm not going to waste time and be like, no, 95, no, 93. And that's just silly. And we definitely try to price accordingly so that Saturday is a really good deal.
And we have definitely reaped the benefits of that. When we moved down here, you and I talked about this. It was a disaster. Our movers basically stole a majority of our things, or they just didn't show up. One of which was my family silver that I inherited. The entire box was gone.
Oh, no.
Not even the box showed up. And so we had to replace so much stuff. And we did that primarily through estate sales.
Right.
It was so helpful. And we learned, my husband's a talker, so he gets the whole rundown of all the people and the things while I'm looking around and poking through the things. And we got to know the community, and people down here recommend, if you haven't gone to this, go check out that. And here's a great restaurant and do this thing. And it was just such a great way to become part of feeling settled in a space where we knew nobody. So there is this intangible value of what you do. You're kind of the front lines of the community, for better or worse.
Well, and I do tell people when they're selling online, because there are people that can do it themselves, but there are people that I'm like, you need to be very, very careful, because there's a lot of bots, there's a lot of spam. And if you're not ranked high in the algorithms, then you're going to get the riffraff. I call it the underbelly. And there's just people out there that you don't want to interact with, So one of the things that I do is I vet buyers. I do have a strong buyers network, but I also am going to go and look at things like, can they write in a complete sentence?
Have they just joined Facebook in 2025 and have no profile picture?
They should have a trail. There should be a footprint there. If there's not a footprint there, then that's a red flag. Where do they live? Does it say they live in Alabama? If it doesn't say they live in Alabama, then I'm going to ask questions, So I'm going to do all of that just from my experience that other people might not think to do.
How do you like, I've kind of given up on Facebook Marketplace. It scares me. I've had a couple of experiences, like we tried to buy a sofa, literally rented a truck, went to show up to buy it. We got the runaround, kept getting the runaround. I put a deposit down on it. They were just scammers. They disappeared, and that money disappeared, and it didn't matter that we had called the police. So what are some good ways to navigate online selling and buying?
So never meet somebody. I don't personally sell luxury things on Marketplace because I think you're increasing your risk of somebody doing something nefarious. So I only sell luxury items through shipping because it puts distance between us. Also, I try not to let people come in a house. Now, there's certain
things that
you have to do that. And I'm going to take extra steps in those situations so that I really feel comfortable that this person is not squirrely. But for most people, don't have them come to your house. Meet them at a police station for sure. If you're going to do porch pickup, that's fine. But I will make sure, if it's somebody that's picking up for me, I will make sure they know how the driveway is sloped, what kind of vehicle they need to be in. Are there any stairs? These are things, it's almost like a mover mentality. You have to be thinking about all of the factors, not just, I'm going to pick up XYZ from somebody's house. The other thing that I've noticed is that people overshoot their ability to pick stuff up. I'll say, hey, this is a really heavy desk. You need 3 strong people, and they'll show up with like them and their elderly father in a small SUV, and I'm like, this is not going to work, you know. So that's one thing that by using me, people don't have to deal with. I'm communicating, I'm the go-between. They don't ever connect with the buyer until the buyer is there.
So walk me through that. So you've sold a couple of things for my stepmom, and she had me photograph a massive vintage sofa that I need to actually share those pictures with you today. Can you walk us through how you do that? Just what you said, that seller doesn't have to interact with the buyer.
Go on scene, and I'm looking at all of the logistics. What is the topography like? How many steps? So that the buyers that are coming, I do not want to waste anybody's time. I make sure all the imperfections are shown. I'm over communicate, which is something I'm very good at. So I over communicate all of the things so that there's no surprises for the buyer or the seller. It's not going to eliminate it 100%, but it certainly makes it better.
How do you walk somebody through that experience? So my stepmom had these frog sculpture things that I shared with you.
Meisler?
Yes. And so I texted Rashel, hey, stepmom has the things, here's some pictures, and it helps that I'm a photographer so I can photograph stuff and text them to you. Then what happens?
So I'm going to think about who wants to buy these frogs. What's the market? And it's also a luxury item. So in this current economy, there's not a whole lot of people that have lots of cash.
Income.
Yeah. So you're looking at a 1%er that has always wanted this Frank Meisler frog and happens to come across it. So my job is to make sure that my client understands that it's going to be a while.
Where are you going to display it? Where are you going to try to find
For that
buyer?
particular item, I went global, and I made sure that it's on sites where it could be shipped anywhere in the world. And so that particular item, it happens to be one of those things that it's a needle in a haystack. Somebody that's going to spend, $800 for this collectible frog. But there are people out there that collect them.
So when it's a local person and you're kind of that intermediary and you're taking these items, how does that work? What's the rest of the process like?
So I just got my own building, which I'm really excited about. So that's going to help a lot because I am going to have people bring their items here. And so there will still be people that I work with that do it from their home. I'll give you an example. If somebody knows they're going to be moving in 6 months and they're going to start selling off some furniture, practically we'll go through and pick like 20 things that I can list. We'll start chipping away at it. The problem is a lot of people wait till the last minute.
You don't say.
And then they'll be like, can you sell this $15,000 double oven this week? And I'm like, no. Somebody has to build a house around a double oven. So the answer is no. I'm good, but I'm not that good. So I'll tell them that's not realistic, and I hate that, but it's not realistic, and I can't do anything about that.
But that's part of your core values. Like, you're very honest and
I don't want to waste anybody's time. Exactly.
And that you're not wasting anyone's time.
Exactly.
And you still want to help them. So maybe saying, here's what the expectation needs to be.
And then for them, if they have a bunch of open tabs in their mind, it might eliminate some of those and then them know the direction they need to go in. There are definitely people that I've had to say we can't work together because they were over evaluating their items. And I can always show them comps of it's not what people are listing things for. Anybody can list anything
for anything.
That's why you can go on and see the same Beanie Baby for $5 or $5,000. Yeah. My point is, it's what things are selling for. I have software that tells me what things are selling for. Yeah. Give you hard data. Yeah. So I know if we're going to be able to move forward based on how they're evaluating their items.
Tell me about the most valuable lesson you've learned as an entrepreneur. You've been in it for a minute now. Do you have something that comes to mind? Is it maybe the pivot or is it something else?
I think pivoting and then just having grit.
That's a good one.
I just don't think people understand how hard it is to have your own brand and to really pave your own way, especially in an industry that already exists. And I'm kind of coming in as the new kid on the block. And then, of course, I'm doing it different. So that makes it even worse from their perspective. But from my perspective, it's always been my hope to kind of bring in a fresh breath of air and kind of shake things up a little bit. But the amount of times that I've looked at myself and thought, did I do the wrong thing? This is so much harder than I ever could have imagined. But then I dust myself off and I take a beat. And then I remember all the reasons why. It's the why that we talk about. Right. I am building a company that one day I can put my autistic son on payroll and I will find a job that he can do. And for all of the women out there that are like, I just can't do this, I can't do that, I'm just daily showing up and saying, even when it gets really, really hard, you can do it. And especially if you surround yourself with the right people.
Yes, that is true.
Who believe in you. For example, when I had some money taken from me back in the fall, was that the fall? I think it was.
Yeah, it was about a year ago.
And it was such a weird situation where somebody had paid me in cash and they had bankrolls, but they had strategically taken hundreds out. Well, then I had friends that sent me a Venmo of $500 and were like, we see you and it's going to be okay. Because that $2,000 was a huge deal for me.
Yeah.
Especially right at the end of the year. Yeah. This year I will have booked 47 out of 52 weeks, which is amazing.
Wow.
But I have people that count on me for jobs, pay insurance, I pay advertising and marketing, and it is so much harder than I ever thought it would be. But through that, I'm learning more and more about what I'm capable of doing. Yeah. So that part is good.
And I think too, mom to mom, when you keep doing that and you keep showing up and you keep driving forward and you have that grit, it's one of those things that your kids can learn just because you keep doing it. Like you get up, you dust yourself off, like you said, and you keep going. And we don't even have to intentionally show that to them or teach it to them because they're watching and they will see it. I'm sure your kids see that with you.
Yes. And there's a lot of dirty work in what I do. Literally setting up, taking down, moving things. And it's not pretty. I mean, I was down in an embankment today, but you know, what I want for them to take away from it is that there are no excuses. You get up, you do your best, and you just let it be what it is. And there's a lot to be said in that. And I want them to be proud that they have a mom that will go to the ends of the earth to make sure that she's doing her job and that they're being taken care of. Sometimes people will treat me like I'm beneath them because of the service that I'm doing. I don't look at it that way at all. I think that what I'm doing is profoundly helpful and also just an absolute honor to get to step into somebody's life. I am going from house to house every week. So a lot of people don't realize that the turnover, but we have a well-oiled machine. So I feel like I can take on a lot. I've gotten to the point where I feel really confident in my ability and in my team's ability.
You have a very proven process and it works on repeat. It's very repeatable, which is the sign of a successful business, and the ability to scale from there comes from that. So we were just talking off camera about your elevator pitch. Every week in BNI, we have 45 seconds to teach the people in our group what we do and some of the visitors. So why don't you share that with us?
It is hard to teach people because there's not even like a line item profession of what I do as a resale strategist. It's not like people are like, when I grow up, I want to be a resale strategist. Although now it might be a new thing, but Basically, I help people sell their unwanted valuables so that they don't have to. And I use analytics. I use AI.
It's okay. AI is okay. It's not a dirty term in this world.
The crux of my business is referrals and meeting people. So every week I'm out there pounding the pavement. I'm going to breakfast. I'm going to dinners. I'm going to whatever. And then when I have a week that I'm like, I don't have that energy or I don't have that time, I know that I've already done all that work and it's going to carry me through. And I think I'm doing something that a lot of the other companies aren't doing is branding.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely.
Just putting my name out there. Fingers crossed, I will be Google verified by the end of this year. Now that I have a building and signage, I can finally get verified. I had a mom reach out to me that they had career day at school, and one of my boys stood up and just told everybody about my company and how hard I work. And you would have thought I was like a brain surgeon or something like that based on how he was talking about me, which was really special because I'm not doing it for the accolades and I'm not trying to impress anybody, but the fact that one of my boys recognizes my hard work is really important.
All right. Well, thank you so much for doing this.
It was a lot of fun.
Good. And we are excited to share you with the world and see what happens. And we are honored that we're here on the ground. So tell us how people find you when they need you, because everybody's going to need you.
The best way is you can go to my website, which is peddlingpost.com, or you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Alignable. What are the other ones? I'm not on TikTok, but
yet.
I'm
going to help.
Might be a little intimidated by TikTok.
We'll get a person. We got people for you that can help.
But basically, social media is a great way, or just through my website.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
This
was so fun.
It was fun.
If you're not inspired by Rashel of Peddling Post's story, I don't know what will inspire you. From losing $10,000 on a software venture that couldn't deliver to building a business that's booked 47 out of 52 weeks a year. From corporate accounting to becoming Birmingham's go-to estate sales superhero. But here's what really gets me about Rashel's story. It's not just about the business success. It's about her core values, authenticity, always doing the right thing, and leaving every single person better than when she found them. Even when that means climbing down a cliff-like embankment to clean up trash that wasn't even her responsibility. That's character, folks. And it's exactly why her business thrives on referrals and repeat customers. Now, if you're sitting here thinking about your own business, or maybe you're stuck in a corporate job wondering if you should make a leap, remember what Rashel said. You work your hardest, and if it's not working, just pivot. Sometimes the best opportunities come from the most unexpected places, and sometimes helping people through life's transitions can become your life's work. If you want to connect with Rashel and learn more about Peddling Post, head over to peddlingpost.com. That's peddlingpost.com. You can also find her on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and Alignable, and coming soon, hopefully, on TikTok. I'm going to help her with that. Who knows? Maybe you'll discover that vintage Pyrex bowl in your cabinet is worth hundreds of dollars, or maybe you'll just be inspired by a woman who turned grit, analytics, and genuine care for people into a thriving business. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with someone who needs to hear Rashel's story. Leave us a review whenever you listen to podcasts, and remember, your next pivot just might be your biggest breakthrough. I'm Dawn Gagye, and this has been the Entrepreneurial Edge. Keep pushing those boundaries, keep taking those risks, and keep believing in your ability to create something amazing. Oh, and one more thing. If you want to see Rashel's fun side, head over to our social channels to catch her Fast 5 answers. Trust me, you'll discover some surprising things about Birmingham's estate sales superhero that didn't make it into today's episode. Because sometimes the best insights come from the most unexpected questions. If you want to tune in and see and hear the Fast 5, go over to our social media channels for Tracer Strategic Marketing and the Entrepreneurial Edge. Those will be located in the show notes below. Thanks so much, and we'll see you over there. And while you're there, don't forget to give us a follow, would ya?